Hey, this is Shane, the host of From the Shadows podcast, and I'm here with Jason, the super producer.
Greetings, everybody.
And the one and the only resident skeptic, the Ozark Howler.
Hey, I'm here.
Can you guys tell the excitement of the Howler? No, all right.
You know me, man. I try to under-promise and over-deliver, right? So I don't need catchy. Hey, I don't need catchy phrases. I don't need snappy hooks. Ain't no clickbait with me. Okay, it's the real deal.
There you go.
Well, for all of our new listeners, since we're a new member of the Odyssey Radio Network, we'd like to invite everybody to stick around after this short intro and check out what we like to call the Midweek Howl. And what the Midweek Howl is it's just our little story time with the Ozark Howler, in which we try to lighten your week up a little bit with a 10-15 minutes of laughter. So stick around, laugh with us, enjoy the stories. No harm, no foul. So just be ready to go to a world that you probably hoped didn't exist in the world.
And expect to be entertained.
Expect to be entertained. So you got it. Do you have any warnings or?
No, you know what though, I wasn't. But what I was going to say is, so maybe after I just told you there's a hook, there's no hook, there's a hook. You know, I think I said it earlier on the last one I did with you guys. You know, I got a story for almost everything. You know, because I was on the street for almost 30 years, so I got a story for everything. So if you got a subject, send it to From the Shadows podcast, and I'll tell you a story about
it. Yeah. And for those new listeners, the Howler has 30 years of being a sheriff, a highway patrolman, air marshal, a homeland security, and probably a lifetime of just being an all-around funny dude. So
redneck, man, redneck. There you go, redneck.
So we hope that you give this little segment a chance and go check out the Howler. And like you said, if you got some stories that you guys are interested in, asking about, or if
he's going to have to send it to you guys because I'm not on social media, so it's got to go.
Yeah, he's not on social media. So if you really want to say some good stuff about him, we'll share it with him. If you say some bad stuff about him, don't waste your time. He won't ever hear it. He's kind of fragile, so we won't let him. So with that, thanks for welcoming us onto the Odyssey Radio Network, and we hope that you enjoy the show. So Howler, what's the story that?
Well, this is, you told me I get to talk about what I wanted to this week, right? Because normally you prompt me, right?
Yeah, dealer's choice.
Yes.
Whatever you want.
I was driving on the highway, and shortly after we had that conversation, that text string, and I was trying to think out, and I thought maybe I would devote some stories to a topic that's kind of dying out where I'm from, the trailer park. As the place is developing and people are going out into the rural first ring suburbs, there's the trailer parks, as I knew as a child, are gone. You know what I mean? And in one particular one, they condemned it, and they built big new overpasses, and they made sure that the overpass was about 5 times bigger than it needed to be, just so they could run it through the trailer park and get rid of it. So that's what the trailer park people thought, that they were finally getting displaced by corporate America.
That was the conspiracy.
Yeah, and you know what? Because what the deal is, they surveyed it, they condemned it, surveyed it, and tore it out about 2 years before they ever started construction on the overpass. So,
there may be something to that.
But back in the day, I don't know. I think you mentioned this trailer park in one of your stories. McCubbins is what it was called. It's gone now.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure the proprietor has unfortunately passed away through age. So I don't feel bad about mentioning it. But there was a trailer park just south of my hometown called McCubbins that was everything that your listeners would think of a stereotypical trailer park, you know. And if you've ever seen the show on Comedy Central called Trailer Park Boys?
I have not, but I've heard of it.
Okay. Well, this was a real life Trailer Park Boys times 100.
Oh gosh!
So I'm going to tell you how low rent some of these cats were. So you used to just pull in there. Sometimes and it was built on a hillside, so there was like 3 or 4 tiers. Okay, so the top tier, which was at the main entrance, had fairly new trailers, but as you snaked down through it, the trailers at the very bottom of the hill were vintage 1950s, 60s. Some of them almost like old air. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
like real mobile homes. You know what I mean?
Right.
My great grandma lived in a little trailer park that's still on my mail route, and it was the emerald green with the silver trim. You know, like real retro.
Yeah. So
sweet.
Because at the bottom of the hill, they had been there for 50 years, 40 years, or whatever. You know what I mean? The trees had grown up, and that was just, you know, it was known that it was just a place that the cops had to go periodically, sometimes more than others. Okay, and I have since found out at my great grandma's 86th birthday 2 years ago that the proprietor was actually married to my grandpa's sister, and I didn't know it because I was telling the story, and my great grandma said, "Well, you know, that's my brother-in-law." And I said, "Do what?" And she said, "Oh yeah." and these guys, these old 80-year-old people, just started telling me how, you know, big family. She was my grandpa was one of 11, I guess. So, in one of the girls. I said, I wish I'd have known that back when I was a cop, because that would have carried some weight. You know what I mean? That would have carried some weight. And I'm sure, you know what's weird is, this is what bothers me. I'd probably been out there 50 times, and he knew I was related to his wife because of my last name, but he failed to mention it. What's that? Does that say something about, who's that say more about, him or me?
I think that's an indictment on you. But I don't want to say that. Oh, I just did. I'm sorry.
Yeah, did he not feel comfortable because I was the heavy-handed lawman?
Maybe he didn't want a favor. He just wanted to be treated fairly, like everybody, like the same as everybody else.
He truly wouldn't be of my DNA then. Anyway, hey, so I would, you know, I wasn't very good at being a cop. As far as I wasn't very heavy-handed, but that made me good to get information for people. So one day the sheriff called me and says, "Hey, you need to take these Capitol police officers. The state Capitol's got their own police department. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't call them 3-block cops because it's a lot bigger than 3 blocks, but they take care of all these. They take care of all these office buildings, and you know what I mean, around the state Capitol and the grounds and certain things. So majority of their things are." I don't even know what the majority. I'm assuming that it was office related. You know, somebody stole something from an office or somebody. You know, it's because once the building's all closed down at the middle of the night, there's nothing there. Or, you know, weekends and holidays, a lot of it's closed down. So anyway, the sheriff says, "Hey, you need to take these 2 cops out to McCubbin's and go find so and so." And I don't remember the guy's name. Okay, so I talked to these cops, and like all functions that close to the flagpole, they had the best of the best. They had the best uniforms, they had the best cars, they had the best pay. These guys looked like they stepped out of a law enforcement recruiting poster, okay? And I am about to take them to some place that they are not emotionally or professionally equipped to go, which is the trailer park. So I said, "Come on, follow me." And I, you know, particular who are you going to go see? So I roll up, and the locals know who I am. You know what I mean? So I roll up, and these cops are behind me, and we go to the trailer. And I don't remember now how we knew what trailer to go to, but we go to this trailer, and there was no less than 11 or 12 people living in a single wide trailer house.
You gotta be kidding me.
Not even a double wide.
Right, and it wasn't totally cold, but it was fairly cool. And the reason why that plays a part in this is the furnace was broke. So when I knocked on the door and this gentleman answered the door, the oven door was open, and it was like set to 400 degrees, like you were going to cook a pizza. But it was to warm the place up because the furnace had quit. Okay. So I asked for this dude, and I don't even remember what his name was, but I could tell the dude answered doors like parolee. He's tatted up, Aryan Nation, been around the block, and he gave me a puzzled look when I asked for a particular person, and it wasn't a puzzled look like I'm going to lie to you or that's a friend of mine or we're going to run. It was a puzzled look like, what could that guy have done? So they holler back, and these single wides, you walk in, there's a kitchen's to the right, you're in the middle of the living room, there's a hallway down to the left, a couple of bedrooms and a bathroom off, the door, the hallway one's along the back side of the trailer, and each thing is to the left. Mm-hmm. Well, immediately when he says he dispatches a heavyset gal to go get Ronnie or Donnie or Johnny or whatever his name is, and these Capitol Police guys, they want for officer safety, okay, because they were adequately trained, they want to go with them. And I said, man, I don't know if you want to go back there. No, my God, what if somebody gets a gun? I said, we'll just shoot it out here in the living room, but I don't think we'll go. I don't want to go back there. You know what I mean? Because you don't know what's back there, dude.
No.
It's the abyss. And in training, they usually think it's the fatal funnel. That's what they call it, the fatal funnel, when you go down the hallway. And I'm telling you what, you mess around in the trailer park, and you accidentally fatal. You know what I mean? So they demanded to go back there, and I said, okay. Of course, they pull out their $150 little Stinger flashlights and light this unlit, and they end up waking the whole place up. So when they first answered the door, I seen there was one guy that answered the door. There's a couple fat chicks in the living room, one other mope at the table. So I got maybe 4, right? They have got to wake the whole nest of rats up. So, if they would have just listened to me, Convict would have just brought Ronnie or Donnie or Lonnie or whoever we wanted up there. But instead, these cops walk down this hallway saying, police, show me your hands, and everybody ends up in the freaking living room with us. Nobody wants to go outside because it's cold, remember? Mm-hmm. So I get this kid, and he's immediately getting legal advice from 7 other people in the room. Don't talk to him. Don't say anything. If you didn't do anything, the girls are saying, if you didn't do anything, you can talk. Well, the dudes are going, don't say anything because they'll frame your ass up. And what's funny is when I was standing there, what are we doing? Before I took him out there, well, he was a night janitor, and they had a bunch of stuff missing from the building, different weird things being missing. So they were narrowing it down to the cleaners, the nighttime cleaners, of which this gentleman was one. So as I'm standing there, something caught my eye, and I don't remember what it was. You remember cassette tapes. Mm-hmm. It was either a cassette tape or a VHS tape. And I picked it up, or I could see it, and it had a state of Missouri property tag on it. I'm pretty sure it was a cassette tape. It was like, and it said, state of Missouri, do not remove. Remember them little stickers they put on things? Mm-hmm. And what he had done, and then written across it, it said like Def Leppard or something. And what they had done is they'd put the little tape over the top of the cassette so they could record over top of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And they had recorded like one of Def Leppard albums, you know what I mean? over this training tape, and it was like this training series A, tape 1, effectively dealing with the public, and then it said Def Leppard in magic marker across it. So I said, hey man, what's up with this? I don't know. I said, what do you mean you don't know? I don't know. And of course I don't know. And that, I said, who? So I'm saying, who leases this thing? Whose trailer is this? It's so and so, and they ain't here. Well, so eventually I got around and I said, you know what, we're going to search this thing, and I ended up with a pile of cassettes and VHSs with all these. They had Missouri property tax, but what really had screwed him up, he had taken this Midland radio, like the maintenance radio, that they'd call down and say somebody puked in the elevator or whatever, because he was a contractor. He wasn't a state employee. He was a contractor. But in the course of this, I was finding all these brand new clothes with tags on them. Like Izod, remember the old Izod alligator shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Polo, Ralph Lauren stuff. I'm finding all of this stuff. So, and what they would do, now they'd call it flash mob or whatever, but what these most would do, they'd load up in this, crappy Chrysler minivan. They would drive to Dillard's. They would all walk in, and the clerks couldn't watch all of them at once, and they would steal stuff. Okay? So they would steal stuff. So, but half of the trailers was convicts, and half of them were smart enough, were too dumb not to talk. So they started telling, well, that's, Lonnie stole that, and Ronnie stole that, and Donnie stole that, and Donna took this, and finally I said, hold on a second here, fellas. I said, everybody gather around, and it was getting too tight. We walked out. These are real cops. They're getting they're getting worried. They're paranoid, looking over their shoulder. And they're worried about being surrounded by these people. And so we backed out on the porch. Anyway, I said, this is the deal. I want everybody to pay attention. Can everybody see me? And all these people stood almost like I was doing a group photo with them. And I said, everybody can see me. Yes. Everybody can hear me. Yes. I said, okay. And I pulled out my little branding card and said, you all have the right to remain silent. And then the Capitol cop goes, well, dude, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to read all of them the rights. I said, all of them are suspects at this point. Let's just read all of them the rights. He goes, I think you got to do it individually. And I said, oh, no, you don't. Why? Who says? This is cop rules. I mean, we get the power to define is the power to rule. We'll just tell them no. So I read all 11 or 12 of them, their Miranda rights, at which time part of them exercised them. The other part of them thought it was a joke. And I ended up with about 17 black trash bags full of evidence. Because I said, okay, now that you've all been read your rights, I want everything that's stolen right here. I said, go back in the room, go in your car, wherever. I need it all right here. Because someone were saying, well, I didn't take it, but so-and-so gave it to me. I didn't take it, but someone. I said, okay, so if you have any inclination that it's stolen, I need it right here. And and it was like an episode of Reverse Hoarders. Instead of collecting it all, this place started puking out evidence, brand new, fake costume jewelry, and watches, and Izod, and Polo, and on and on and on, to where I had 17 trash bags. It got to the point where the Capitol cops that started all this deal, they wanted to leave. They said, hey, we got our guy. We got a statement from him. We think he's guilty. We're going to talk to the prosecutor and file charges. But we got to get out of here. And I said, whoa, Sarge, you ain't going nowhere. You lit this fire, you're going to watch it burn, Jack. And they're like, no, we don't think this is we don't want to be any part of this. And I said, part of what? I don't know what's going on, but we don't think you're doing it the right way here. And I said, this is trailer park rules, man. You just do it. You just roll with it.
Did you say I'm old man McCubbin's nephew?
I would have if I known that. I would have if I'd known that. But, actually, he was kind of low rent, so I got about 10 more stories. So I got 17 evidence bags. Or 17 trash bags full of evidence. And I couldn't hardly get out of Chevy Caprice at the time. And I had the whole back seat of it, I mean, stacked to the ceiling like a college kid moving. I had all this evidence. So then I went to the courthouse, and I had to get a case number, and I had to start this case with it. And I had so the sheriff comes in and says, "What's all that? You guys still there? I'm getting some feedback here."
Yeah.
And anyway, I had to go. Make a long story short, the sheriff goes, "We don't have room for all that crap. Go talk to the prosecutor and see if you got a case." So I went and had to open a case. I had for him to tell me I didn't have a case, for me to go to the judge to get a disposal order to throw 17 bags of of crap away. So the only thing I did was create all this goddamn work, and that taught me a couple things about the criminal justice system. Most people don't care. The trailer park people don't care as long as they don't go to jail. The prosecutors rarely care unless there's a real victim. You know, police management doesn't care because if it's going to be very hard, I mean, if it's going to keep you past your shift time, you've got to get 3 layers of overtime management to approve your overtime. So don't do it. But from then on, man, I ruled that trailer park. When I needed something, I rolled out there because all those 11 people would thank me for not arresting them for all that.
Yeah, got some informants.
Yeah. So I'd come back out when I need something, and I'd say, "Hey, man, you remember that deal the other day? I give you deputy probation, so you owe me because you had them Air Jordans on that you stole from Dillard's." And then you go, "I didn't steal them. Tommy stole them."
I just want to know how long did you play that Def Leppard tape in your cruiser?
We didn't have cassette, but I didn't have cassette, but I could have. I would have. Yeah, I'm glad you knew who Def Leppard was.
Oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, a final word. Please visit us on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/From the Shadows Podcast, and on our Instagram page at instagram.com/From the Shadows Podcast. You can visit our webpage at FromTheShadowsPodcast.GoDaddySites.com, or contribute to our Facebook discussion page called After the Shadows, and tweet us on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/podcast_from. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing from you all. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.